If no one else is gonna say it, I'll say it. You're getting too freaky and freaked out at these run clubs.
Cause I just went to my first run club, cuz, and I'm keeping a buck, but it was so much guy. Something. I couldn't even stay focused.
So y'all here to run or you here to date?
I'm here to shark. No.
Get your freaky ass away from me. I came here to run. Why is everybody looking like they ready to get took down in this bitch?
So a couple of years ago, I talked about meeting people through hobbies such as clubs, activities, volunteer organizations, networking events, and shared interests. And at the time, there was this idea floating around that intentionally putting yourself in social environments where you might meet someone was somehow desperate. The thinking was that if you joined a group and happened to be open to dating, then you were trying too hard. You were forcing it. You were doing too much. You were supposed to just let it happen naturally. Fast forward to now, and every other conversation is about run clubs.
Not y'all being mad because y'all found out they be fucking and mingling and drinking at these little run clubs. Why the fuck y'all think they started a run club? To run? I could run by myself. I wouldn't have came unless we was fucking and running. Like, ain't nothing wrong with the running and the mingling and jingling after.
Run clubs are the new dating app. Run clubs are where singles are meeting. Run clubs are creating relationships. And all I can think about is, wasn't this considered desperate a couple of years ago? Because meeting people through social activities isn't new. It's actually all we had before the internet. Nobody discovered anything. People met through church. People met through friends. People met through work. People met through community events. People met through recreational sports. The only thing that's changed is people are saying the quiet part out loud. Women are openly saying, I like what I see. And men are openly saying the same thing.
I'm trying to see if we look good together. I think we do. Okay. What's your love language?
Physical touch.
Physical touch. Oh, wow, you're beautiful.
And that's supposed to be breaking news, but why? That's called attraction. That's how this works. And I keep seeing videos where women are joking about the men at these run clubs. The men are joking about the women. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, what exactly is the controversy? Because if you're single and you happen to notice attractive people in a social environment, that's absolutely normal. Some of these conversations crack me up because we're acting like everybody is showing up strictly for cardiovascular health. Child, some of these folks are jogging at a pace that wouldn't scare a turtle. They're talking, they're laughing, they're taking pictures, they're getting coffee afterward, they're getting brunch afterward, they're exchanging their social media handles. The running is happening, sure, but let's not pretend that's the only thing happening. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think what's really interesting is how this conversation exposes the gap between what people say and what people do. Because for years, I've heard people say, nobody wants relationships anymore, nobody wants commitment, nobody wants marriage, nobody wants to be bothered, nobody wants to date. But then a run club pops up and suddenly hundreds of people are showing up every weekend. So which one is it? Because the behavior tells me people are still interested. People are still looking. People are still curious. People are still attracted to each other. People still want companionship. Now, what I think happened is people got tired of certain dating methods. That's different from giving up on dating altogether. Because if people had truly given up, these spaces wouldn't be growing. The truth is in the participation. And that's why I find this trend refreshing, because I keep hearing about the loneliness epidemic. I keep hearing about declining marriage rates, how people are isolating themselves even more. I keep hearing about how exhausted people are with dating apps. I keep hearing how hard it is to make friends as adults. I keep hearing how disconnected people feel.
A 2024 Gallup survey shows 1 in 5 adults report feeling lonely daily. Studies show that loneliness has a widespread impact, with people of all ages feeling disconnected from relationships. Experts say it can lead to depression, anxiety, and even cognitive decline. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You know, I think we're living in such an interesting time. We've always talked about older Americans having struggles with loneliness, but now we're talking also about younger people struggling, even though they're so connected. What's going on?
Yeah, I think it's really fascinating to see. We always worried about our older generations and what they were doing to stay connected, but yeah, we're seeing it increasingly in younger and younger folks, that, you know, this sense of loneliness, and so this sort of subjective feeling of not being connected, you know, despite the fact that they may be communicating with people, right, digitally or on technology, but it just doesn't bring the same sort of relationship or connectedness that it does when, you know, you're face to face with somebody.
And then people leave the house, join social groups, meet new people, and interact face to face, and suddenly we're supposed to be cynical about it. That doesn't make much sense to me. If anything, it's refreshing. And no, this doesn't mean thousands of people are showing up to run clubs and finding their soulmate by Saturday afternoon. Let's relax. Nobody is crossing the finish line and immediately receiving a husband, wife, and matching mortgage paperwork. That's not what's happening. Most people probably aren't finding the love of their life at these events. Showing up doesn't guarantee friendships or relationships. It just gives you more opportunities to meet people than if you never put yourself around people. but they are getting something valuable. Practice introducing themselves, practice having conversations, practice reading social cues, practice flirting, practice handling rejection, practice being around people. And honestly, that's part of the problem today. A lot of people have become rusty socially. We've gotten so used to screens that basic interaction feels harder than it used to. Every interaction doesn't need to end in marriage to have value. Sometimes the win is making a friend. Sometimes the win is finding a workout partner. Sometimes the win is simply becoming more comfortable talking to people.
What's up, y'all? It's 7 o'clock on a Tuesday. Y'all know where we at. So we made a new friend, guys. What's Victoria. Come on.
That's still progress. And let's be real about something else. Even if nobody dates anybody from these run clubs, there are still benefits. You got out of the house, you met people, you built community, you moved your body, and you spent less time isolated. And you had an actual conversation with another person. And that's a win in a society that keeps telling us loneliness is becoming a bigger problem. And that's why I don't think the run club itself is the story. The story is that people still want connection. For all the conversations about how nobody wants relationships anymore, the behavior says something different. People are still showing up, people are still interested, and people are still attracted to each other, and people are still looking. They're just choosing environments that feel more natural than endlessly swiping on strangers. And I think people are being more transparent and open as well, because years ago, somebody might have joined a social club, met somebody, started dating, and nobody thought twice about it. Now people are openly saying, yeah, I enjoy the activity, but I also don't mind looking at attractive people. Thank you. Because let's stop pretending attraction isn't part of the equation. It always has been. The run club didn't change dating. People didn't just suddenly discover social interaction. People didn't reinvent meeting potential partners. Y'all just gave it a new hashtag. And maybe that's why this trend is getting so much attention. Not because it's revolutionary, not because it's producing soulmates on demand, but because in a time when we're constantly hearing about loneliness, isolation, dating fatigue, declining marriage rates, and how hard it is to meet people, it's nice to see people actually leaving the house and engaging with each other. Whether they leave with a date, a friend, a business connection, or just a reason to get out of bed on a Saturday morning, that's still a positive outcome, because connection doesn't only matter when it turns romantic. Sometimes community is the win. And from my perspective, that's probably the healthiest part of this entire conversation. Now, was joining social activities to potentially meet someone really desperate, or were people overthinking it? Are run clubs changing dating, or are people just becoming more honest about attraction in social spaces? And in a time when loneliness and isolation are constant topics, should we be encouraging more spaces like this? Now, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you've been to a run club, a hobby club, a networking event, a fitness class, or any social activity where you realize folks weren't just there for the advertised activity, let me know. And if you enjoyed this conversation, like the video, hype the video, subscribe if you haven't. Thank y'all for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.